Hello, everybody, and welcome back to some WARNO action here, as we are back to the playoffs, and we are in Division 1, everybody. This stuff really got serious now, as we got WARNO League 3, Season 3 Division 1 action. 8 players are in here, all of them are great. We're gonna jump into Scuff versus Fortitude fans here. Both players had a solid way in here. Scuff coming in as first place, clean sheet, and Fortitude fans going in a tiebreaker game in here. That was a bit of a tougher way, as they lost to WoW and they had to take the tiebreaker versus down here versus Cielos Gunter, but they made it in, and I'm really interested in the shenanigans you're gonna see, aren't we, Chloride?
Yes, we are. Fun fact, I almost lit my beard on fire today for the first time ever. Didn't happen though, but I still have the smell here. So how's it going on? War is peace, tariffs are tax cuts, and Fortitude Fence seems to have found a new division. Last stream we were talking about 6 US, and you specifically saying that 6 US in your experience is mostly really only playable as an air spam deck. Now, if we only had a Division 1 game with the foremost air spammer of the game playing an American division representing the North American part of the community, and seems to have some seems to have a plan here, considering how expensive and all-inish this opener seems to be going on. What do you think about Fence's matchup here? I know I said that Scuff is gonna destroy Fortitude in this matchup, and I still kind of hold to this, but what are your opinions here?
I think Fortitude has a plan here for sure. And I believe if there's somebody who can figure out 6 US, it is Fortitude fans. As they have the air power, they have the shenanigans on the ground as well, which all doesn't seem to be amazing, but there are a lot of okay parts that you maybe could make work. The M48 has surprisingly high amount of pen. The Navy SEALs obviously are great. You can mix them with Pathfinders that have smoke to maybe do some shenanigans that we haven't seen yet. Like, usually we say Navy SEALs on their own, isolated, and then they just get lit up by autocannons and die. If you get some smoke near that can save them a good amount of time. We have an Eyehawk from the get-go. All of that is going to happen. But yeah, on the other side here, for Scuff, what do we got here? We got a big Fallschirmjäger opener. Second Panzer Grenadier, obviously a pretty meta deck. And that Fallschirmjäger option is one of the reasons why. Though I'm not so sure if this is really the way how you want to fight this. Because Fallschirmjägers are notoriously cost inefficient as infantry, because you pay 70 points for a unit that doesn't really have all that much firepower in CQC. They're not special forces. They are only 8 men. They don't have 2 MGs. They only have 1 MG3. So, yeah, their Panzerfaust 3 is great, but that doesn't help you against 6. So, I wonder if that might not even be a misinvestment here. I'm really interested to see how this opener goes.
Yeah, the double investment into the Fallschirmjägerführers, the forward deploying leader units in this game are often considered to be quite cheesy, because especially on this map that is very static and does not really reward or allow for a lot of maneuver or a lot of trickery, if you can get a very slight point lead early on by investing into these forward deploying leaders, yeah, you can force the enemy to play a completely different game than if you hadn't done that. And the second Panzer Grenadier pick here is the heavier option, the tank tab and the artillery, especially the ability to get the Eyehawks and Gepards. The second Panzer Grenadier is exactly the kind of versatile all-around division that is extremely competitive, and alongside second UK is played a lot by the Russian players in the Division 1 Pro Commie and Scuff. And I think the Fallschirmjägers being underpowered or overpriced here might be a purposeful investment, knowing that you can follow them up with a really cheap Siegerungs unit and standard Pioneer units and even Pioneer Flams if you're willing to get those flame flames out there. I believe the main of the fighting force for Scuff will be in the mech. You don't want to invest a lot in your infantry anyways if you're going to go against the Navy SEALs. Your unit should mostly be running away from the Navy SEALs, as all the vehicles do the shooting. On the other hand, also, Messerwaffe, excellent counter to expensive early game infantry rushes. And though it does seem like the SEALs are maybe just slightly too queued in and should deploy maybe a bit earlier.
Yeah, the Pathfinders here with the 50 cal truck and forcing the Vulture Makers to unload quite early on as well. And we will see if any of the Navy SEALs die here. Smoke coming in, that's the usage you want to see. Blocking the Vulture Makers from getting the kill. Harrier HE not able to drop, gets shot down immediately. That's a massive win. That was supposed to get the kill on this. Double stinger hit with the smoke, blocking it from hitting. Yeah, this is why you want those Pathfinders. The smoke plays are key. Smoke saving the TOW 2 now from getting overrun maybe in the north as well. And we have the M48s pushing in. We have the Navy SEALs now getting the jump onto the Vulture Makers, which just don't really stand a chance in this matchup. Navy SEALs are just way better infantry. And that kill on the Harrier, really, really key. This might give the 6 the time to really get this town under control.
Yeah, the Harrier HE2 has very heavy bombs, and despite being slow and vulnerable, it compensates by having a heavy bomb load. If it could have dropped its bombs right at that entry position, could have taken away maybe 2 different infantry squads, all of them very expensive at this point. Ihawk getting a hit and almost getting a double tap on the Corsair Bomber. Corsair Bomber is armed with 4 2,000-pound bombs, 900 kilograms. Those things are massive. They can ruin entire infantry front lines, so you don't want those things dropped. Early investment on Ihawk from both sides.
Yeah, and the Navy SEALs here with their great submachine guns, the 4 light machine guns, and the Special Forces trade on 3 veterancy just absolutely shred through the Vulture Makers here. The Vulture Makers don't stand a living chance. They killed 3 Navy SEALs so far, but 2 Vulture Maker squads already died, and that's not great. Harrier HE this time around doesn't find the drop either. Once more, great smoke there. The Ihawk and the Stingers not that fortunate this time around, but the Ihawk might get 1 more shot, and that might actually seal the deal. Yes, it does! Second Harrier HE down. This is massive. You only get 2 of those, I believe, and they are the best bombers you got for the scenario next to the Matcherino.
Yeah, the fact that the SEALs are now just pushing into almost satchel distance, the fact that the SEALs can move so quickly and they extremely rarely get stunned due to all of their stress resistance. This just means that they are some of the most right-clickable units. They do a lot of damage when they're firing. They throw and aim their satchels fast due to their veterancy, and yeah, they are like you have to pay 110 points for them with the truck, and they don't come as fast as a lot of other Spec Ops, but they're still absolutely worth it. They are best used in tandem with other units, I think, unlike something like a Delta Force, which is more of an independent recon unit that can do pushing on its own because it has long-range snipers and all of that stuff. But the SEALs are absolutely a unit for this situation.
Yeah, the only thing that Fortitude fans lost so far was 2 M48s, I believe, here. But on the other side, we saw a Leo 1 dying, we saw 2 Harriers dying, we saw 4 Vulture Makers and the Vulture Maker leader disintegrating. We saw Pioneer getting sniped by the TOW 2 that's still alive thanks to the Pathfinder smoke being absolutely amazing. This game is, like, Fortitude fans is like 600, 700 points ahead already in minute 4 of this game. He's half of the deployment he already has to shoot through here, and Scuff only killed 200 points maybe on the other side. This advantage is massive here right now.
Yeah, the counterattack needs to start building up fast, and Scuff needs to stop trading down. A second Ihawk is getting bought, as well as a heavy howitzer. That's good. It's not the heaviest. This is the 155 one, but these forces here should be enough to prevent an immediate fence breakthrough. Fence will likely want to get some reinforcements, maybe a few more recon units to get some map control, and then build up a few planes, and that should be enough to keep on attacking. And Scuff still has close defense locations, does have control over the entrance, so technically could push in. The fence is not looking to get on the right side of the zone, of course, knowing that there's going to be vehicles out there who will be able to do free damage if they want to. A Cobra, this is not the Hog, this is not the one with the 20mm cannon, this is the Cobra with the twin poisoned talons? No, talons are for birds. Teeth of a minigun and a 40mm grenade launcher. I believe that is why it's called a Cobra and the other one's a Hog. Anyways, it gets shot down by a Schwilling.
Yeah, and the dragon here trying to get the Vulture Makers killed in the south. The Vulture Maker out there still has an eye, but yeah, that's Swilling getting the kill on the Cobra there. Cobras have 6 hit points, pretty vulnerable to any kind of AA. You don't want to risk them like that usually, but yeah, trying to get the kill there on the Jäger Aufklärer, just pushing them all out. But Scuff has to build up more mechanized forces here. We need to see more Leo 1s, more Martyrs, and then try to snipe the Totus. Totu currently out of ammo in the north. Do we have a supply truck coming in for that? Yes, supply truck on the way now, though it's going into the town. So Humvee Tow currently the only HGM up there, and that's not good enough. So that mechanized force might be able to push in eventually. We have a 400 point lead as Fortitude fans got into CVs a good bit later than Scuff, as they put everything into that push. So Scuff still has some time here, not under super heavy pressure, but needs to get going in the next couple of minutes here to not fall behind too much in points.
Yeah, artillery is getting bought on both sides, with Fence buying a light mortar, which I believe is going to be mostly a smoke tool. Its damage dealing capacity is not really enough to make to change things, but the smoke capacity is extremely powerful, especially if you're trying to attack an enemy who wants to defend on the longer ranges. At this point, I really think Fence is in an amazing location. Like the fact that Fence got those repeated hits against those key units, and the infantry line was completely melted. The West German infantry, with all of their small debuffs and cost ineffectiveness, fighting against maybe the most powerful close-range infantry out here in the best environment for them, supported by rocket helicopters, artillery. Scuff is not going to want to walk in there. Scuff wants to be overpowered, and Fortitude putting these massive amounts of troops in these close quarters is a way to try to lure Scuff in, take the risk, overextend, go in there and send me 2 Merschwaffe planes and try to carpet bomb the town before you go in. And all of that takes a long time.
Yeah, the M48's also getting surprisingly long time to live here. The Pathfinders also can help them out of smoke, because those tanks don't come with smokes themselves. Like, the Pathfinders really smoke for everything. And that is quite great. And yeah, getting the Leo 185 here, good kill. And the smoke blocking the Zwilling from getting infantry annihilated. Leo 1 there getting killed off by the 19-pen shells. Like, yeah, these M48s, the chassis, they're pretty old. The shells that they shoot are pretty modern, so they are high capacity. But it still should be a lot easier for Scuff here in the later game to win fights on the ground. So I wonder when the bigger air swing will come, because it's Fortitude fans. That air swing will come, right?
Yeah, I think it's when Scuff invests into an attack, when Scuff puts forces at risk and actually tries to go for broke. If Fence manages to trade up against that attack, I think this being a 2 lakes map, that might be it. The artillery and the Eyehawks and the Stingers and everything here will help prevent any breakthroughs, but the real punishment that 6 needs to bring against a mechanized mid-game attack will be done by the aircraft. And I think maybe we'll get to see the Prowler, maybe we'll get to see the super ECM plane that might just make the Eyehawk investment completely worthless, which would be nice. It would be nice to see this stuff getting applied in these high tension situations. We're getting another 155mm howitzer for Fortitude.
Yeah, the double Scuff 155mm howitzer so far doing a good amount of work as well, though. Just got rid of one of the Navy SEALs units of Fortitude fans here on the front line, and getting rid of any single one of those is pretty helpful here. Though the Mechanized forces still relatively low numbers. We have 3 Martyrs on the battlefield now, a couple more Pioneers coming in. The TOW2 might even get another snipe there. That TOW2 in the north, such a key position here, even tossing the turret of that Martyr into the air. And yeah, cooking off the ammo there. Martyr 1A3 getting one-shotted. It has 5 frontal armor, but against the TOW2, that's still not enough. And the TOW2 defense line here really doing its job. Panzer Grenadiers getting bullied on the front line, and the Gepard going down as well. There's little that Scuff can do here right now.
Yeah, this sort of skirmishing is not good for Scuff. Scuff just wants to hold the positions and not have to defend them. The forces are not in place to actually fight against Fence, and Fence can afford to lose a little bit here. Losing a couple of infantry units basically means nothing when you can replace them infinitely, and you have such a great and fast roll to do so.
Yeah, good hit there against the Panzer Grenadiers with the artillery. The artillery play on both sides pretty good. Counter battery tried to get on it, but didn't quite manage to. It's a Fortitude fence really keeping a good eye on keeping those artillery pieces moving, not letting them get hit. The south also pretty defensive, well defended. So pivot of Scuff into the south, not really possible either, as he doesn't have any Gepards on the front line anymore. Like, if you have a good, big mechanized force and the enemy is an infantry division, what you can do sometimes on 2 lakes is just pack everything and go to the other point, and the enemy can't follow with their concentrated forces because they're all infantry. They can't really push out of it either because they're all infantry. But that's not really the case here. Like, all the mechanized forces, they died. So there is little here for Scuff to do right now at this stage.
Yes, Scuff bought a Leopard 2, and Leopard 2 in general, 12 minutes in is a good buy to kind of help you win mid-game engagements. But winning the mid-game engagements, 1v1 tank engagements against the M48 patterns is not really going to do that much for you. Like, there is, what is it, where we have 2 Pioneer squads here with a mixed number of tanks and a lot of support equipment. And that's just not enough. You can't attack, you can defend with it, but Scuff is under a +2.
Yeah, and TOW2 one-shotting Leo 1s is brutal. And like, we see another Leo 185 dying there, as the TOW2 number by now on the front line is pretty high, and there's just not enough firepower.
We have a Prowler on the field.
This thing is super hard to manage at the moment. There is something wrong with the missile of the Prowler that somehow has a way smaller angle that it can fire at than other seed missiles. But it's such a capable plane nonetheless. The missile itself has great range, and it also has great ECM while it's puffing out the zigzag around. Prowler gets hit, but doesn't die. And the other planes don't attack, though.
Yeah, the A10 is out there, and the Corsair, but a second Corsair HE is on top here.
Yeah, and we just saw the Leo 2A3 there on the death list in the end, and that's, I think, what sealed the deal here. Scuff deciding that this is not the one that is going to come back. It's a best of 3, so you can allow one game to go down, and you have to pick it up here in game number 2, I guess, as this game just went too horrible from the get-go. Really great usage of the Pathfinders and the smoke. Like, this was, what was the difference to any other 6 US that we have seen so far? Like, we have seen Navy SEALs play, we have seen M48 interesting play, but they always got caught out and died eventually. Pathfinders made sure that that didn't happen, and this is, I guess, a big lesson learned for any of you 6 US play out there right now. If you want to play this division, play it like Fortitude fans.
Yeah, I mean, Fortitude's got hands, apparently. Like, Fortitude has been known to be a one-trick pony because that's the way that he has chosen to play a lot of his games. But in this game, especially the infantry, the recon squad smoke micro, was excellent, right at the right position. The unit combinations were near perfect. The M48 micro, especially microing them using the fast move, because those things are 45 kph. Otherwise, they just everything went exactly as you wanted for Fortitude, and not because of good luck. You might say that, okay, well, taking out those Harriers was a reasonably good luck, but no. If those Harriers had dropped their bombs, Scuff would have been in the game, and the bombs didn't go off. repeatedly. Every time the infantry moved, they blocked line of sight, and that all the investment into the infantry killing just didn't manifest. And at that point on this position, on this map, in this matchup, I think Scuff was probably correct about not being able to get back in there.
Yeah, really, really well played by our American here with the 6 US. I'm interested to see if we will see more 6 US now in the coming games, and if Scuff can figure it out. I do believe that's one of the issues of Fortitude fans, that he sometimes does try to push it a bit too far. But we're gonna see where it goes. Maybe he has another party trick for us that will work, and he only needs one more of those to get on to the playoffs. Quarterfinals are best of 3s in Division 1. Afterwards, we move to best of 5s. But yeah, only one more game here. Fortitude on match ball, and let's get right into that game number 2, and let's see if he can move on. And we have a different division here for Fortitude fans in game number 2. A division that we have seen from Fortitude in the past, but it's not quite the same as we had it in the far past when he was playing it as an air spam division, as they don't do that anymore. But they are a really strong division nonetheless. First UK with better challengers is a really, really scary division with the warrior replique that it got later on as well. It has a lot of good tools, though it's up against the division at the moment, the 56 PTV here. Not quite sure how that went through banning, but yeah, we got 56 on Hesse versus First UK. And before we jump in there, guys, quick shout out to the Matcherino page, where you can support funding this tournament. And you can even do that without paying anything, as we still need 2 people here to click the claim code button to add 25 cents completely for free, no obligations on your end, to the prize pool. It comes from Matcherino, so yeah, let's get that money into the community. We're on the way to the next stretch goal, prize money for the Division 4 winners, and yeah, let's get there. And thanks for everybody for joining us here. It's a good crowd already again. It's great to see all of you in the comment section. Thanks for all the new follows. But let's get into the action here again. Everton, what do you think about the First UK pick here?
So First UK has seen, because it's really the greatest power that this division has is its ability to do forward deployment openers and its ability to bring out large amounts, reliable amounts of mediocre tanks, chieftains and challengers. They can be good or they can be completely lackluster depending on the situations where you put them. British infantry is of course pretty all right. They have numerous machine guns, and they also have a lot of helicopters, both on for ATGM. So the ability, and rockets. So the ability to do kind of fast-moving attacks is out there for the British. And I think the reason why we're seeing it on Hesse is that more and more, as people have been playing Hesse Duel, the map has become more all-in dependent. There are fewer points that actually get contested, in my opinion, as people have learned to play this map. The urban areas are completely underutilized, in my experience. So if you utilize them, you can often get really nice results from it if you take a little bit of a risk. But a lot of the time, the fighting is going to happen around the middle and the open area, with the armored divisions doing like 5 minutes in pushes or all-ins through the middle next to the railway. And in that kind of environment where you really need to be there first, and you want to do an early game fast buying, not fast deploying, but cheap enough stuff that you can bring in numbers, I think First UK could do that. 56th is famously also really good at doing that, but it does it with BTRs and BMP2s. So fast and powerful, opening up with the Rasvedka BMP2s, and then following, and the Luazes, and then following up with the ever deploying powerful infantry and the mediocre tanks also, but still capable in this combination. And I think in that way maybe 56 was allowed to go through there because Fortitude fans believes this to be a nice counter to 56, that the armor that can be brought out is enough to fight off a early to mid game 56th. And now with the cluster mortar nerf, maybe the 56 is less capable of fighting those tanks in the late game. And of course, 56 does have a pretty big weakness, and that is its anti-air capacity, only has short-range anti-air, and the fighters are not the best. So maybe, just maybe, Fence is thinking that I can use my heavy and like very good bombers and fighter aircraft to wrestle this away and start abusing the air advantage at a certain point. But before we go to 56, I mean, everybody knows about 56, but let's look at the more exotic unit here on the board, the Mi-24D Descent, the quite strange armored transport helicopter that costs 120 points and only carries a 4-man recon squad, but also gets forward deployment.
It carries
We're getting 2 of those.
Yeah, it only carries the 4-man ones here. It's interesting to try to get those guys to the front there. You can carry some Afghansis there in those, I believe, as well, or is that in the
No.
other division?
Other division.
Okay, so yeah, here we go. The Desert Redka pushing forward in the Mi-24D. Yeah, interesting choice here. We don't have any AA down here until the tractor appears arrive, so they actually might catch some things. They are not recon helicopters themselves though, so they don't spot the enemies quickly. But the Rover Milan still running a slight bit too late here, and the tractor appears still not quite in range here. Might at least cost that one. Whilst in the middle though, Rover Milan might get the better one of a BMP-2D, as nothing is spotting there, unfortunately missing with the shot. The tractor up here not able to kill the Mi-24D, only getting a missile hit, but at least forcing it to the ground, unless you lose it here. So Fortitude fans has to be a bit careful there. The Rover Milan actually dies in the center. Really unfortunate there for Fortitude fans, as it just stunned out the BMP-3.
Military police units en masse, vetted up military police units, which are pretty all right. I mean, they have the machine gun at least, and they're deployed fast, so they are coming in as some kind of a fire brigade here. I was wrong. The Afghansi can be bought on Mi-24Ds, but of course you don't get the forward deployment trait there. So the blobbing here is obviously serving a lot to give the Fortitude good engagements. The Mi-24D Descents don't have enough rockets to really do damage except for infantry squads. The track rapiers have smoke so they can run off. And the track rapiers also, after they start firing, have a really quick repeat fire rate. They take a long time aiming, but they can do follow-up shots, though they're actually quite powerful against armored helicopters.
Yeah, the Mi-24V rocket here though, with the Cocon missile, that is the really dangerous one here now. The tractor up here also getting into gun range of the Mi-24 here, but gets the kill just in time. Tornado comes out, kills the MiG-23, gets hit on its own though, so it can't stay around for the helicopters. And the tractor appears both pretty stunned, so the Mi-24 might be able to take them both out. One goes down, Cocon flying for the Chieftain here, not quite for the helicopter, as the helicopter might be landed again, or it's just flying low at least, but it gets the Chieftain there. One more Mi-24 goes down, the RPs are in here, but there's a 14-man squad divisioned with RPG-22, and the RMPs, it's 5 squads, but they are just barely outnumbered that single squad on the other side.
Yeah, I think the RMPs are nice because you can only suppress and fire at a single squad at a time. So the RPG-22s got suppressed to low cohesion after killing just one of those. But I'm not sure if the RMP, the 5 cars alone is 100 points. That is now going to be repaired, going to be sold so that more infantry can push in. But the infantry of Scuff here is just too good. The RMPs are fighting valiantly, and they are in an alright position. The Tornado HE coming down here, and even now the Spetsnaz GRU do get a shot at it, so it will take a little bit longer to come back.
Yeah,
the Spetsnaz GRU here.
Such a key unit, just like the SAS. That's one of the main reasons why 2nd UK and 56 are up there currently, because they just have that anti-AA opener that also can push back a lot of other things in the opener. Like they win against other recon squads, they have a good AT weapon, And they even can use smoke to get themselves out of sticky situations, and that just makes them pretty gnarly. Especially as with special forces, the Stingers also get extra levels of veterancy, though in this case it's only the Stinger base.
Yeah, now the Gazelle blob. Speaking of 20-point units, all the cars that were sold have been transmogrified into Gazelle rockets. Gazelle rockets will have just enough firepower to maybe fight these off, at least part of this, but they will immediately get shot at by the Spetsnaz GRUs, and the GRU Stingers will most likely do good damage. They will single shot those Gazelles, and if the Gazelles cannot target the key units, the RPG-22 units, they are not going to be worthwhile on the long term anyways, because any damage that is not done to the key units here will not help Fortitude win those infantry fights, and those infantry fights are necessary here. On the other hand, Fence seems to feel like any kind of investment into this close range engagement is just not going to go well, and even the RMPs are moved away, and Fence is moving into containment. Then the Scouts, Law, and Gazelle out there are checking the front line, and they will likely spot at least the Motora Svedka. And because Spetsnaz GRU is just a little bit in a bad position, I doubt it's going to be able to kill the Gazelle before they also spot the Fagot. If they spot the Fagot, this means that the Warrior Upliques will most likely be able to just drive in.
There we
Fagot
go.
is spotted.
Fagot shut down. The Motora Svedka is still around. The Rocket's trying to get a bit more distance so that they can shoot. Stinger does miss against the Gazelle. Recon, it's not moving away though, so it most likely will get shut down. But Warriors now can push on. There are some cheap ATGMs coming in on the other side. The tank's pretty slow on the British side, so Chieftains and Challenger take a while. But interesting, pivoting here from Fortitude fans. Loses the Gazelle Recon in the end. As we have Mi-24P with AA missiles coming in. That is a nice counter to the Gazelles.
Yeah, the Luanses and the Fagot seem to have gotten just in a good enough position to start firing, but there are too many of these upliques, and they are supported by a bunch of recon units. I think the upliques will be able to, with their 4 armor, they can survive those front shots from the Fagots. I think the upliques might be able to win this. The real big issue here are the helicopters. The helicopters, the Cocons, can just do awful damage, and they can the rest of the helicopters can at least stun down the vehicles with their rockets. Oh, a Rapier gets a good hit on the expensive gunship.
Yeah, both pushed back. Tornadoes actually coming in for the kills. Both helicopters still in the sky. They don't have enough time to land, and the Tornadoes do the job here in the end. Igla not capable of stopping that. MiG-29 might be able to come in here right at the right moment. No, not so far. And Iglas get 1 hit, might even get a 2nd hit there. No. And the Tornadoes get back out. Important kills there. Well, the push of Fortitude fans here in the north gets pretty scary. Got a couple of units on the ground killed, got the 2 helicopters killed, and didn't lose super much for it. 1 or 2 recon units going down, but that's about it here.
Yeah, the first T-62 is also coming. These are the ones with the Bastion missiles, of course, which are going to be key in trying to defend on long range. And the BMP-2s do have Concourses, which can do a lot of damage against everything except the Challengers. But so far, Fence seems to have the momentum here. Fence has the units, Fence has the support, and Fence also has good enough positions to keep up the attack going, with not just by sending in the Gazelles, but also sneaking in recon infantry and standard infantry. Because if the standard infantry or recon infantry gets out there and the BMP-2 start firing at it, if a helicopter opens up, the Scuff units will be able to will be spotted, as we are seeing right now. And now the Challenger can just move in here, knowing where the firing line is.
Yeah, helicopters here coming in with rockets, coming in with hell arms, making the whole life a bit more unpleasant as well. The hell arms here pretty big against the ground units here. There is still a truck with AA guns here in the middle of all of this, so That could potentially get a kill onto the Gazelle. Yeah, it's trying to do exactly that right now. Tornado HE being called in. Gazelle actually makes it out alive. Interesting. As the Lynx still tries to find some kills. Tornado finds a kill against the BMP2. The Challenger and Milan still pushing. Lynx having to disengage now, but the ZU goes down. Lynx goes down as well, sure, but the situation here is still pretty interesting. A helicopter-heavy second UK, not something you see every day. And Lynx still taking shots
UK.
here. First UK, yeah, right. It's not something you see every day. Tornadoes coming around. And yes, the 56 is still having a good amount of stuff on the board, but I like what we see here from 42 fans.
Yeah, the two Lathans, which is the heaviest anti-air that the 56 can provide here, they will go out there and they will provide some amount of cover against the diving planes. But I think air supremacy has so solidly been achieved by Fortitude that Scuff is going to have to be really careful about any kind of attack or any kind of movement, really. Scuff needs to understand, or Scuff needs to understand where the enemy's recon line goes, needs to keep in mind at how long it was since they last saw the enemy bombers, if they have been refueled already, and not to and the most infuriating part is the really cheap gazelles that reward some pretty basic micro with amazing damage in certain situations. It's just free infantry kills, and 56 can afford to lose infantry. It's not about that. It's about the fact that 56 can't do the kind of attacks that they would want to, maybe knowing that the gazelles could be out there. And right now we're actually seeing an armored rifles RMP push happening on the more urban area with the DSH RPG-22s getting spotted here. And maybe the helicopters might go out there and try to get a kill, but Scuff has already recognized this and is moving all the anti-air forward with the defensive infantry.
Yeah, we see Challengers moving around. We see a good couple of Gazelle Helms and rockets here in the rear. Rifles coming in decent numbers. Rifles and Assault Pioneers rolling in here into the south. Interesting that Fortitude fans now pivots to the south again. I thought he would maybe pivot into the center to try to approach the center through the middle, like south of the railway. But it's actually the full-on pivoting into the south. That's not a good idea from what we know, but obviously he doesn't have an idea of how much Scuff actually has reinforced that area. He might believe that Scuff only left a couple of first responder units there and hasn't reinforced it, but there's a lot of stuff there that Scuff has brought in, and this push with 5 infantry units most likely won't work against an entrenched infantry position with 14-man squads, special forces, and a decent amount of support vehicles.
Yeah, if those infantry were currently with the armored force, they could be deployed and walking towards the Leonid point, which is currently defended by a single wounded DSH Metis and a single Razvedka BMP-2. And the defensive line of 56th here is basically only solid in this one area. Only in this urban area is there other actual lasting capacity to lose troops. And of course, when you're so far away from your reinforcement positions, you want to have decent investments out there. But Fortitude really could have just kept quarantining this area and trying to push the weaker sides of the front line. Now with the double tornado bomber coming in here, Fortitude wants to go for broke, wants to win this on arguably the worst possible terms. Shooting down on MiG-23, losing a tornado fighter, almost losing the second bomber as well.
Yeah, getting good amount of damage on the ground though, getting another bombing run in here, but has to be careful to not lose it all there. Shots of missiles, and the MiG-23 still has some ammo. It might actually get the kill here. No, it runs out of ammo before it can get anything done. The bombs do at least reduce the Dushka, the Zhanikis on the ground to 1 hit point, so that the Pioneers actually can move through. And that bombing runs actually not that half bad. I was earlier talking about how first UK is not that big of an air spam deck anymore. It seems like Fortitude begs to differ, and actually made it a tornado spam deck. And that's an interesting idea. I'm not convinced it works super well, but with Warrior Oblique plus Tornadoes, I mean, there is something there for sure. There is something there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, your enemy is gonna keep buying the MiG-23s, and the MiG-23s have just bad enough stats that the tornadoes can kind of fight against them. The tornado AAs are, of course, quite good fighters, but even the regular tornadoes with their heat-seeking missiles can probably contest the MiGs if they are en masse, if they are with numbers. And Fortitude, of course, is a great applicant of the Lathans doctrine, or applier of the Lathans doctrine, so knows to bring out all the planes at once to maximize the damage potential and minimize the enemy AA's potential. But even more Strela 10s are being bought around here. And looking at the infantry forces down in the urban area, Fence can bring out a Stolly, and there are 5 Centurion AVRs coming in here. Yeah, he's going through here, I think.
The AVRE play is pretty interesting for sure. Yeah, he gets in there with a decent amount of forces, including a Challenger Mark II now from the north again. And he really wants to make it an air play, though there is a good amount of MiG-23s on the other side, so you have to chew through a decent amount of those guys. And you don't have any good long-range AA, so you have to do it with your tornadoes. And we saw one going down earlier. The good thing for Fortitude is he also gets some Ws in the north. He was constantly getting some shots onto some units of Scuff here, but Scuff wasn't quite able to do the same to him. So the northern forces of Scuff have been nicely reduced so that they can't counterattack. The T-62 went down, a couple of infantry units were reduced, and all of that reduced Scuff's forces to a point where they can't really react to what's happening in the south here right now. They can't kill that. And there is a lot of stuff coming in here. I'm just not quite sure if pushing beyond your AA umbrella with chieftains and challengers, whilst the enemy has some of the best anti-tank planes in the game, especially for the Soviet side, is that clever of an idea?
Well, I mean, when you have all of this stuff on board, do you want to wait even longer? The MiG-27 AT planes, first of which is coming right now. This is the one equipped with the AA heat-seeker missiles as well. It's not that expensive. It's 22. I remember it being way more expensive.
Yeah, exactly. That is, for 220 points, a pretty good plane. And the Desert RPG-22 here shredding warrior pleaks, hitting the challengers from the rear. Challengers already pretty low. And yeah, that was just an overextension here. Like, I can't call it any other way. That push of Fortitude fence was a bit of an overextension, and that put his whole movement here in jeopardy. Tornado coming in a bit on its own as well. Challenger goes down, Tornado goes down, and that was a terrible 2 minutes there for Fortitude fans. Everything went well, and then he made this move, and it's currently backfiring heavily. MiG-23 is all still alive. Tornado went down. Other plane got pushed back. The Jaguar, I believe that was. A Chieftain died. Challenger leader died, and what is there to say for that? He got a BTR. He still uses more warriors. He lost 3-4 warriors in the last 2 minutes as well. And that's just not how you want to play this.
Yeah, the transport APCs were used to spend away the AT weapons of the DSH instead of keeping them at a nice 1,000-meter radius where they could provide fire support. The Centurion AVREs are in a nice position to do damage, but then they are not necessarily expensive enough to target them with the AT planes, at least not when most of the AT planes are probably reloading right now. But even then, I feel like Fence could have just achieved way more by not trying to cross into that open reinforcement area. What we're seeing here, especially with the Scout's Law 80, is that Fence wants to take full control over the area that is used to move in infantry into the zone. And this is a very important corner. There is so many places to hide, so many buildings here. And with the DSH-22 especially, they get 8 rounds of their AT weapon.
No.
So that's just really risky. And you just want to play a slightly little bit safer with the vehicles.
Yeah, and Tornado AA goes down here to the Iglas and Strellas. The numbers there are pretty solid as well. That's the only thing that's still left there. All the helicopters just flying in there, suicide style as well. It's pretty tough to see right now. As yeah, a couple too many units just being thrown away here. And I don't know if you can allow that to happen when you are still the one that needs a lot of tick here in the last 20 minutes. Like, if the point system here would be pretty equal right now, if both would have around equal forces, I would say this is an okay position for Fortitude fans, but still having to be the one that pushes through, you need those IFVs, you need those somewhat heavier tanks as well. Like the Challenger AVR, Centurion AVREs are all nice, but they don't push you through here. Scimitar is now pushing. It will be interesting as there is still a Conquerors, but I see this stuff working out decently, especially as they seem to catch the Strela as well and seem to light it up. Yeah, this is nice victories here for Fortitude fans, but yeah, not sure where this is all going.
Yeah, I'm looking at the open northern area here. I mean, there's a lot of recon, there's a lot of ATGM out here, there's a nice amount of supply, but I really just can't see Scuff pushing through on the north with against an armored division. It's going to take so much to break through even a few chieftains or a single challenger. So I think the best way here for Scuff to keep fighting this is to try to keep any positions close to the back point. And because if you keep any of these positions that are currently held by the RPG-22s, you can keep on threatening Elena, which is not going to happen if you lose a bunch of your units up top here and then allow Fence to put a tank line and cut the map into half. And from that position, there are not going to be that many good engagements left. The T-62s and the BMPs will do their job, and they can last 15 minutes if they are played really well. But right now, I think Fence still has enough tanks and enough forces on board, enough tanks in the deck and forces on board to do like 2 big attacks. And if neither of those achieves an actual breakthrough, that 1,000-point lead is gonna start showing itself. And I think Fence might be pushed into more overextensions and more needless, or not needless, but risky pushing.
Yeah, good hits here by the Tornado HEs here so far. Coming in for another part of the map, but nothing's there anymore. But the other ones each wiping out one of the big infantry squads. And the rest pushing through slowly as well. Stolly got stolen. That's pretty annoying, especially as it resupplies the Conquerors there in the rear line as well. But still enough Scimitars and Centurion IVREs, Chieftain Mark 9s to push around here to have a decent chance on these middle ranges where the T-62 is not that great. It's great on the long ranges, but it only has 7 rounds per minute rate of fire and no autoloader, so it goes even lower with cohesion damage. And against the Chieftains and Challengers, its current performance stats-wise is not that great in a gunfight either. So Chieftains here coming around from the north and trying to get through all of this. There's still a distinct lack of infantry for the first UK though.
Yeah, I think the sense here is that any kind of infantry fighting that's gonna just bog the forces down is more time for Scuff to keep reinforcing and keep building up. So the mechanized force needs to kind of bypass at least some of these enemy attacks and use the aircraft to engage the infantry blocks. And so far it seems to be going all right. Tornado catching a MiG-23 and driving off at least one of the air supremacy fighters. Jaguar diving in against a tank. Great damage, taking a BMP-2 with it.
Yeah, Tornado also coming in with a good roaming run here, actually. This might wipe out a couple of good units as well. Yeah, 3 units going down there. This is starting to look pretty promising. Jaguar HE number 2 is out here as well. Could get some good sets too. And then we might be able to see the rear line captured, but even the single real line here might start to not be enough pretty soon, as it's only 80 points per minute, and it's 1,000 points difference, basically, between these two players.
Yeah, the position that is currently held by the Mi-6 Gruzovoy, the big beautiful helicopter, by the way, huge fan, Soviet maximalism, one of the only kind of design styles from the Eastern Bloc that I really like. That basically Fence needs to get out there, needs to capture that area completely, and then the actual attack can start. This is Scuff is just gonna keep on sending this infantry, and the infantry is gonna keep on getting bombed, and the scimitar blob and the centurion blob is gonna keep on growing. But okay, so now Fence has realized that this is the damage is just not enough with the aircraft, and is choosing to fast move down to the middle. Fast moving.
Yeah, interesting here. Just straightly going through. I believe they can see the Dejan Modraj there on the other side. They have some Scrutineers recon units coming in there as well, and this move actually might work. They still would need another good bombing run in the south maybe to push through that point as well, but yeah, the trade's currently not that terrible for our player in blue here, especially considering that it goes against 56. Never was any of the cluster mortars bought, as in this matchup that is way too agile, which is kind of surprising, considering that the British usually get called out as a slow nation, as their tanks are not the fastest, but this is still working out decently.
The DSH Motorosvedka carry the RPG-26, which is one of the best AT weapons on the Soviet side. It's got good accuracy, 675 meter range, and 16 penetration. It's a disposable launcher, so it fires fast, so it took out all of those scimitars. But now, with the reinforcement obliques, and the Chieftain should be able to go through. But oh no, the MiG-27 is coming in here, missing.
Finds the kill in the end, though. Tornado HE is here coming along, trying to gun down that MiG-27. One of them gets a hit, but doesn't quite get the kill. Gets killed on its own on the way out. We see some kills from the Tornado HE number 2, but the Strela flies here, killing off the second Tornado. 2 tornadoes down. This is not what you want.
Yeah, it's like Scuff has been donated. They're really great. Oh, and here we go. I guess I think that might have been a bit of an early surrender here, considering what we know. Of course, we know that the middle defenses were never as powerful as I think Fence thought that they were. I think the reason why Fence didn't go the standard Hesse attack route of attacking the middle zones with infantry while attacking the top zone with the tanks back when the momentum was really in Fence's favor. And I think the reason there was that Fence thought that the fortification that Scuff had been doing on the back point had actually been done in the middle, because that's a really dangerous area for vehicles. You have so many with the railway bridge, with all of those buildings. There is so much to cover your infantry in. Metises, standard RPGs can do horrible damage to you. BMP2s can get in close, and they can use their autocannon to penetrate stuff. And the I think just like testing that defense could have maybe paid off for Fence really well. And at the end there, Fence almost breaking through, having bought the units there, and then decides to call off the game, but after losing all the bombers. I think he just thought that there were a bunch of infantry waiting out there that he just never wanted to face. He wanted to bypass the enemy, but the enemy was in a different place.
Yeah,
is what I'm thinking here.
Pretty interesting with all of this stuff here. And Scimitars here, quite nice. Tornado HE doing a good job. And all of this is going pretty great. But it wasn't enough at the right moment. And then when there was that critical mass, he pushed in and let it get killed. in that counter push by just pushing a bit too much armor forward, and that's like against 56 you're on such a slim margin. Like if you make a bigger error, BMP2s just will swarm you and you will just get stuck. And yep, that just happened. It's too many BMP2s per minute, and that's just the rate that you have to fight against there. And 56
Twitch
just
auto mode is
gets you under there.
Yeah, Twitch auto mode is not allowing Fagot through once again. Okay.
Yep. Twitch doesn't quite know about this indie Cold War game that we are covering here and the special meanings of words.
But just to answer in the cast about Ryan's question about why there was not an attack up top, and I think the reason there was that attack should have either worked or it would have become it would have worked early, or it would have become a grind fight of expensive and slow tanks getting easily slowed down and pushed back by very cheap ATGMs. And that is why I think the way to go there would have been to add in the infantry attack to the middle point, but that infantry attack never happened because, of course, Fence was probably thinking that there was a DSH RPG 22 in every building out there, which is a rightful choice. That's what it happens when you play against 56th. And Fence maybe tried to be a little bit too smart for himself and accidentally fought the whole game on the best territory. The overextension with the mech, where he attempted to break through and cut off the reinforcement route, I think that was the big moment. Some slightly better smoke micro maybe too, and slightly more careful with the tanks. Something could have happened there.
Yeah, not losing 5 warriors to a single motor Redredka there with a that's the way to go. Like if you just lose too many warriors in that matchup, it's game over. Like you need those to deal with the BMP2s. If you can't do that, then the game just becomes too painful.
Yeah, it's having what are the Luas Fagots? Are they like 45 points still, 50?
35, I think.
But yeah, having those units only for missiles, and the missiles are not the greatest, but you get a lot of them and they deploy really fast. So those things, if you as a Fortitude Fence give your 56th opponent like 2 minutes, they can cover the front line with a weapon that will be such a huge problem for you for such a cheap amount of points. Yeah. 40 points. Yeah, it's insane.
All pretty interesting. And yeah, with that said, guys, let's get into the final game here, because that second game here really got us into a scenario where we haven't been this season, a game number 3. So let's get into game number 3 and let's see who moves on. Hello, everybody, and welcome in 2022. Welcome to this new game that is WARNO, as we just have the first pictures of the early access, or at least that's what it might be here, as we are on the lovely map of Death Row, and we have a 3rd US versus 79th Guards Tank Corps here. Game, it couldn't be more retro here in this game number 3. It's literally the first 2 divisions on the first map we got for WARNO, and I'm all in for it here. So this is a glorious matchup. And yeah, before we jump in that, a quick shout out to the April Swiss tournament. We're gonna do a 2v2 tournament every month from here on out, guys. And the Swiss one is coming up next weekend. So if you want to join there, get in and sign up right now, as the sign up is in the chat. Get your best friend in, figure out all the rules, and just sign up with 4 divisions and have some fun. It's a non-eliminatory tournament, so if you sign up, you're gonna get to play all rounds, and I'm looking forward to see you all there. And with that said, let's get into the action here on Death Row. So what do you think about the 3rd US at 79 at this moment in time?
So I'm really surprised that these players have such a few command vehicles, knowing that you need to hold the command vehicle inside the zone to keep it captured, don't you know? The UH-60, but in all seriousness, the 79th is played way more because it is way more flexible. Third armor is the heavier. It is the on paper better tank division because it has all the Bradleys and it has all the super heavy Abramses, and it's got Apaches, it got Eagles. It's really nice. But the problem is versatility. Can you actually get all of your expensive stuff on board? Can you afford to play the game into the late game if you lose a bunch of trades in the early game? And do you possibly lack a reliable forward deploying infantry recon unit? Do they have the LRS anymore? I don't think back
No,
when
they
third
don't
used
do.
to be overpowered. Yeah, they used to have the LRS. So without the LRS and only getting relegated to the scouts, they don't have a strong enough recon tab to actually do opener attacks. They need to invest into the recon Bradleys, which of themselves are vulnerable and expensive and easy to take out with enemy ATGMs. So we can expect Scuff to have the Spetsnaz crew in key places supported by the MI2s. So perfect information alongside with the attacking fist of the Rasvedka BMP2s. And then the rest of the units here are of the more affordable variety. There's a BRDM2 Conquerors, which is fast and good at defense. There's a Rapira, which is also very good at defense, but it needs to be positioned correctly, and which is where the recon comes in. And standard BMP2s, which can hold the long ranges pretty nicely and are not too expensive to invest. No tanks, mind you, unlike the Americans who are bringing out the M1 Command with some amount of infantry and a zero-vet Bradley with a zero-vet Fireteam Dragon. So the zero-vet Bradley take, especially here, makes me think that this is a very kind of long-winded deck. Is not supposed to be played as an all-in, which is good because back when the meta was that third US would do all in every game and win every game, I do not miss those times. So but yeah, I think the if Scuff doesn't really have the units to keep pushing after the opener outside of taking positions, the tanks will be able the tanks of the Bradleys will be able to fight them off. But I still think this is going to be a fence is going to have to really control well against this superior recon.
Yeah, Mod Redka here coming in. We have an early Phantom AA coming in to try to shoot down the helicopters. Has to be careful of the Osa around in the north. We'll get this Mitoon barely not killed. Oh, the pain. The pain when the Vulcan and the AM79J fail. A second Phantom being even brought out. That's a massive investment here. Into planes, actually. And maybe Fortitude fans thinking a bit too much how he would play 79th, because there is an SU-25 opener that you could play there, but it's not something that people really do at this stage. Like 79th is not a division that throws planes at you in the usual use case, so bringing double Phantoms here is not really the play. Like 3rd US doesn't have any A-10s nowadays anymore either. It isn't an air spam division on its own that can do shenanigans. It only has some terrible bombers, so double Phantom here is a wild opener that you really will lack on the ground, as that's a good couple of Bradleys that you just don't have now.
Yeah, that it's I get the MI2 and in general the recon heli opener that has been popularized by Skific, I believe. The recon helicopters are so cheap, you can afford to lose them. The information you gain by sending them to their deaths is enough. And especially if you already are very, very familiar with the game and you know what all the little details in deployment mean and what the consequences of everything is. Here we can see, speaking of the bad bombers, we can see a lightly armed FA-4 Phantom fighter bomber. This one has only 4 light 200 kilogram bombs, 500 pounds, I think.
And this is uncharacteristic for Fortitude fans, but that bombing target was absolutely not worth bombing. Usually he calls the bombing runs like that off. He didn't do that this time around, and he's wasted a whole bombing cycle there. But the second Phantom here, barely making it out alive. And yet, this is a lot of stuff into the air for a division that is not that good at doing air. And this is so little on the ground here right now. It's death row. You have a way thinner front line, so you can still hold out with fewer forces than on other maps. And you don't have any massive holds maybe in your front line, but the enemy will come at you with a lot of force as well. T80BV IZD now on the way. There are a good couple of BMP2s, and yeah, that one tank and that one Bradley in the middle, they have a lot of work cut out for them.
Yeah, the 2 OSAs getting bought here, raising the OSA count to 3. And OSAs are not like super game-winning weapons, but they are fast and they are reliable, and their radar, so they aim and fire quite fast. And this plateau here is very tight, physically a small space, and the Phantoms are dive bombers. The 3 OSAs is more than enough, I think, to completely negate the investment of into those bombers, especially when the actual actual key units that need to be removed here are the T80s. Now, of course, you get a lot of TOW2s, you get a lot of Abrams, you can fight the T80s, that's no problem, but you don't have those TOW2s because you bought the damn bombers.
Yeah, we even have an M1A1HA now being bought, so yeah, just a Bradley hate here coming out of Fortitude fans. I'm not quite sure what this is all about, why he hates them so much, what they did to his family, but yeah, just really allergic to the basic playstyle of this game right now, which is, and how you see Third US played when it's being played at the moment, which is just a bunch of Bradleys doing Bradley things, together with a Cav and then a couple of Apaches maybe, but this is a weird playstyle for this division, and perfectly fitting of Fortitude fans. I'm just a bit worried that it's going against the basic playstyle of Scuff here and just might fall flat.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Fortitude fans watched the movie Pentagon Wars and thought that it was based on real events and not like a professional liar writing a story about how he supposedly fought off the military establishment. But yeah, the Bradley has in recent years all the Bradley haters have been completely silent now that it's been one of the most well-performing military vehicles in the 21st century. But anyways, another Phantom is out there to do some patrols. I believe it's going to patrol because there's a Kiowa Warrior. Kiowa Warrior is an amazing weapon to fight off the both the BMP2s and the T80s. But the T80 ISD-29 is the fastest Soviet tank, fastest pack tank, so it can actually run back to safety pretty well. And the OSAS managed to fire off and do some free damage against the Phantom. So right now the Kiowa will most likely take risks, and if it doesn't get a first shot kill, the OSAS are fast enough to get in position to hunt it down.
Yeah, they also have the best long range against helicopters in the game of any mobile platform. So buying Kiowas against a deck that has OSAS is a wild decision. Like, this is a wild decision. This thing gets one tap by those, and yeah, you just, especially on a thin map like this, what do you do? How do you move around an OSA with a Kiowa Warrior? It's going to be so tough to micro this. If there's one person who can make it work, it's Fortitude fans. You even get one-shotted by E-Glass, so you really have to be careful. But yeah, let's see what we can do here. M1A1 Abrams is on the front line. 1 BMP2 already went down. Like, the trades here so far, not that bad for Fortitude fans, to be honest. But he has invested into 4 planes here, whilst all of those investments were on the ground on the other side. So points-wise on the ground, it's still more for Scuff here, and Scuff has the +2 going on.
Kiowa Warrior gets taken out by an Igla.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's another expensive air unit.
And that could have been a Bradley. That could have been a Bradley with an infantry unit. And it wasn't. On the other side, though, oh my goodness. Double SU-22 cluster coming in. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, this is it. This might be game. If Scuff just pushes forward now, one SU-24 cluster goes down. The HA Abrams is still here. Everything else is dead. And this HA Abrams needs to kill everything here now. Two
Yeah, if the
TADBBs, BMP2s. This is going to be so tough now.
Yeah, the only thing keeping up the defense here are the scouts. The scouts are the only units providing actual reconnaissance here, so that the aircraft and maybe the HA Abrams can do something. With the HA Abrams is a completely different location, and the Spetsnaz crew are moving in close. If they can get the GSR radar activated here in a second, they might be able to spot the scouts. And yeah, that's the T-80 is going to go down.
Yeah.
T-80 getting double bombed by an F-111 cluster. Tried to do a stun with the lighter bomber, but with the veterancy, the T-80 was not stunned. It is driven away, however, and buying a little bit of time for Fence. But looking at Fence reinforcements, there's not a lot going on out there, and the seed plane did not pay off. There are still the OSAs are still there in a huge threat.
Yeah, and it's a classic Fortitude Fence game, trying to make an air spam out of the division that doesn't really air spam against the division that has good air AA cover, especially against helicopters. Like, this whole map would look a good bit different if there would be an extra Bradley right now. An extra Bradley would go so far, but instead of they brought out a Kiowa Warrior against the deck that Kiowa Warrior does nothing against, just lost it, and is now struggling on the ground. Like, yeah, Phantoms come in, Phantoms with clusters, not able to get a hit even, as the too fast T-80 just dodges it. And on the other side, we have a Su-25 coming in for the big kill. M1A1HA is getting hunted. It's not spotted right now, so Su-25 can't quite get the kill, but the M1A1 isn't allowed to show itself here.
The fact that there are no reinforcements, no ground reinforcements coming for Fence just tells me that, yeah, they just really wanted to win with air and no other way.
And
I don't know if I would say that. Yeah, I wouldn't say if that was tragic. I would have really liked to see that game go on a long time, if just for the death row tank fights and all the micro that you can get up to in the long term. But I think Scuff was kind of was donated a great early matchup with the complete recon supremacy for the Soviets, and then was gifted a huge overinvestment into Phantoms. And I think those Phantoms, the Phantoms would have worked if there had been an Su-25 attack alongside the Mi-2s. And I cannot imagine any other reason to get a twin Phantom opener when just a single one will work. The single one will do all of the duty. And I don't know, maybe Fence saw some maps, maybe he watched some games and figured that Scuff might be doing an air opener to go alongside the recon, but instead Scuff was allowed to just do nice solid build up, get all the tanks on board, get all the front line up, and by the time that the fighting started happening, there were enough points for Scuff to have the double bomber, and the double bombers broke through, punched a big hole into the line, and all the supporting units, all the ATGMs, all the recon, all the AA, just kept being there. And Fence knows that they were there, and Fence really was just going for broke, just hoping that maybe the air spam could work. All the other stuff, I think you get the, what do you call it, the sunk cost fallacy about these things, I think.
Yeah, it's also, I think Fence just thought, what would I do? And then it's just projected that on Scuff and was like, oh yeah, I would absolutely do an Su-25 opener, but that's not Scuff's playstyle. Like, that double Phantom opener made zero sense. If you would have mixed the Phantom AA with a Phantom HE, like Phantom HE kills a helicopter as well, like, and then you could just bomb something on the front line immediately, like that would have been a way better opener, and they cost actually not more. Those HE Phantoms are surprisingly cheap, but going into 4 planes in the first 2 minutes, that's just a bit too much when everything on the ground is pretty expensive for you as well. And then also going into a Kiowa Warrior, like it was just a bit too much of the same. And then, yeah, just not ready for the cluster counter hit. Scuff perfectly executing that. And after that, there was little here to do for Fortitude fans, like the kill difference manageable if you don't quite realize how much there was invested into the air and how little there was left on the ground, and the position advantage there for Scuff at that point just way too far. So yeah, Scuff taking the 2-1 victory here and moves on to the semifinal as the first player in Division 1. Scuff in a 2-1 victory here. And we now will go into another best of 3 here. Stahlbrecher versus Lathans. The old guard who has come back to defend their rank here. Lathans not being here in last season, but obviously season 0, season 0.5, season 1, veteran here. Really strong player. But Stahlbrecher always has been there, but not quite on Division 1 level. Let's see if he can break through now, if this is his breakthrough season, or if Lathans takes back his throne. Short break, and then we're gonna go into the next best of 3 here. So don't you run away. And here we go, everybody. Lathans versus Stahlbrecher. And we're on death row once again. And Lathans, yeah, stays with the Railroad charm in here as well. Coming in with 3rd US just as well here as well. After his hiatus from getting hit by a bus, literally. And yeah, having a couple of other things to do. Not enjoying WARNO quite as much as he did in the back in the day, because there were a couple of metas that he didn't quite enjoy. But he is back into it now. And he is back in force. While Stahlbrecher here on the right brings in the new style. The 4 Division. He always has been a favorite with the German divisions because he likes Layer 2s and Mothers as a playstyle. And obviously the Dutch do that as well. So fitting right into his arsenal there as well. So it's going to be a really interesting one. And yeah, I just want to make a big thank you guys here at this moment. Quick big thank you. We got all 50 codes claimed already. That's really nice. Thank you all for supporting the tournament. And yeah, that doesn't mean you can't still contribute. You absolutely still can over at Matcherino. And yeah, thanks to all of you who already did. It's amazing to see this going up. And it's amazing to see all the support on the channel here as well. If you have Twitch Prime, maybe consider leaving that here as well. If you haven't followed Chloride, maybe consider that as well. And that's enough now with the sellout. Thanks for all the support. It means a lot. And really makes all of this, all the motivation here even extra. Both thanks to this slight financial boost that you all give me in my real life, but also just seeing all of you here going with so much passion into this lovely video game that we all enjoy a lot. It's great. And yeah, let's see. Lathans versus Stahlbrecher. What do you think about Lathans' deployment here so far?
Lathans' deployment here is showing the old school meta strategy of forward deploying tow units. These things used to be horrible. For 40 points, you can get the 50 cal and a tow, and the tow has 2,600 meter range and 8 rounds for 40 points. That thing is insane. And you also get smokes with the M150. So this is one of the more powerful units that are underutilized maybe, but because they only have the good optics. But in practice, incredible force multiplier. Just a great defensive opener unit. If you want to buy time for your big division to go out there, that's exactly what you want. Up north, we have the more aggressive variants, the Bradley CFVs, the cavalry fighting vehicles, which are moving to get the open ground up north there. I think the Bradleys are going to try to prevent a M113 CNV rush. The CNV we have seen both in ranked and in league, incredibly powerful Dutch unit. For 55 points, you get so many good stats, and it's the weaknesses are not as relevant. But with their way smaller armor, the Bradleys can gunfight them down quite easily. And I think the 2 Bradleys out there is a way to make sure that no breakthroughs happen on this sideline. In the middle, we're going to see a standard Bradley with a Fireteam Dragon, this time on Veterans U1. Excellent. Thank you, Lathans. And with the M1A1 Abrams Commander. So the middle is going to be kept up by them. And down south, we see a Bradley Commander, actually, which is a nice long-range defensive pick with some of these M150s put all around the place to just make it difficult and slow down any enemy attacks. Stahlbrecher is doing the very standard KCT Werkeners play, and more Werkeners you have and less of the other recon, the more I think that you're going to be doing tank aggro, which is what Stahl should be doing here, theoretically, considering that the strengths of the Dutch division are in its mechanized aggression and not in its build-up. It can build up, it is an armored division, but its mid-game is really where you want to shine.
Yes, and we have a good couple of YPRs here coming around. They don't have ATGMs. That's the massive weakness they have versus the Bradley. They lose a 1v1 gunfight against the Bradley as well, but they're also 30 points cheaper than the Bradley. So if you can get some engagements where you just run in gun range with the numbers advantage that you can gain by the cheaper price, that's going to be big. The Leo 2A4C can keep up with M1A1s and even outclass them slightly, whilst being still okay against an M1A1HA. And they are also obviously speed, so that's quite nice. Leo 1s have to be a bit careful with the ranges they take engagements at, but they're pretty good as well. They get one-shotted by TOW2s, that's the one issue here in this matchup, but if you don't get hit by TOW2s, you're actually in a pretty decent spot.
Yeah, and also I think the third US infantry tab is actually significantly more powerful. They lack the cheap transport vehicles, of course, but they have the numbers, and they also have 5.56 weapons, which is a nice damage dealing buff.
Yeah, Leo 2A4C here, moving around. TOW2, the few TOW2s that you get for the Dutch, you only get on dedicated vehicles or dedicated crews. You get your YPR with TOW2, but it only has a 7mm MG next to it, no autocannon. And on the other side, you get the combo. You get Bradleys, you get even fire teams with dragons in there that can be quite decent against the YPRs too. And those M150s here are extra good because the YPRs only 2 frontal armor, unlike other IFVs that have 3 to 4 frontal armor.
But the KCT Werkeners,
cluster!
Go through.
Oh, it gets through. The pivots get the kill. It's a trade. It's an okay trade, but yes, still does the job there. M150s will one-shot the YPRs here. Leo 2A4 is pretty low, is pushed back. Leo 1 might go down even there. No, just gets stunned. So yeah, cluster versus M1A1. A bit of a speed play here for Stahl. As the reinforcements that Lathans bought with the points into the F-16 will need to take to get to the front line. In the end, it's still balanced on the front line, but a slight speed advantage here for Stahlbrecher with that kill.
Yeah, the KCT Werkeners were getting pushed far enough, and they just caught a glimpse of that tank, and I don't think Lathans realized that the tank had been spotted there. So I was screaming at my hand as I saw that saw the plane coming in. But of course, both of these divisions, the Dutch more so than the Americans, are quite fighter bomber aggressive. The cluster phantoms on the other side and the F-16s on the other side. So both sides investing in the self-propelled gun AA, the cheetahs and the pivots respectively. And three pivots seem to be able to gun down a plane, though not necessarily prevent it from dropping its bombs.
Yep. So still, the trade is okay now. It stabilized the front line decently, and interesting Lathans playstyle. We are back to 2022 for sure, as we have the M1 printer here fully on display. They got nerfed a decent bit in price. They were a good bit cheaper in some past metas, but they're still a pretty good tank. And they can deal with the Leos quite nicely. The YPRs are not danger. The TOW2s, they are though. So yeah, going to be interesting here. That M1A1 play, let's see if that can work out. +2 currently for Stahl, but in general the situation here, not so terrible here. The northern push seems to be pretty decent for Lathans so far.
Yeah, Lathans getting these Fireteam Dragons in here will likely be able to at least threaten away the Leopard 1. Leopard 1 here being the only real solid force in preventing Lathans from capturing the zone. The reinforcements that are coming in, not Leopard 2 is actually getting out there. So maybe the Leopard 2 can go and outclass the fire support of Lathans. Lathans' infantry is now moving in. There's only 2 enemy soldiers and a cheetah. The cheetah might be able to, and the Leo might be able to stun down one of those units, but not necessarily 2 of them. Stuns down the first one.
Yeah, the second one engaging, not engaging, doesn't get the dragon out, so Fireteam Dragons there losing out the fight. MWAR 50 in the south going down, pushing a bit too deep on its own. MWAR 13 CNV there doing its job. And the Bradleys in the north not really getting involved here. Whilst we get an MWAR 10 now into the fight. And that is coming in with decent amount of damage against the infantry. And that's something you have to be careful with as third US Armored. You don't have big squads really. So your infantry numbers, yeah, you have the engineers, but your infantry numbers and your infantry squad size is pretty limited, so losing your infantry to MWAR 10s is not ideal. Ooh, CNV.
Yeah, all on the Fireteam Dragon missing. Oh, that would have been huge.
That would have been huge. Cheetah there running into the fire of the Bushmasters, but staying alive as well. YPR doesn't want to fight a Bradley here either. So, yeah, the fight in the north still continuing. Not having the M1A1CV here right now, though, costing Lathans a decent amount of points. And we get more M1A1s here into the fight. As we see a Bradley engagement here continuing. YPR goes down. Second Bradley tries to get a shot out. Not quite getting there. Panzer Infantry lower under fire. And yeah, it's an interesting fight.
Yeah, the M110 buy is really nice, especially when your enemy has revealed that they have heavily invested into gun AA, the PVADs. It's the right choice. You don't want to keep on sending more planes out there to trade down against the PVADs. 2 Phantoms getting bought by Lathans here. I think this might be to prevent any of the further attacks on the Abrams. On the other hand, Stahl has bought a small little task force that is going to be pushing down the Foxtrot. After Stahl's recon vehicle destroyed and overextended M150, the KCT Verkeners have been walking through out there, and the reinforcements are already going in. Even a Leopard 2 getting bought that is actually getting bought to the southern hillside next to the leader. But yeah, Stahl understands here clearly that you cannot allow the third to have tempo on you. You have to keep up some amount of aggression. The expensive investments into the 275-point tanks and the 85-point vehicles and the 120-point recon vehicles, those things are just going to keep on hanging around. You need to stretch the blob. You need to attack the blob where the blob is not powerful.
2 Bradleys dying in the north, an infantry unit there coming in with reinforcement dying in the north as well. 2 recon Bradleys being both shut down there, I believe by the YPR. Yes, the YPR TOW 2 getting the kill there. That is pretty massive. That means that the push, that double M1A1 push in the north that Lathans tried to set up ain't gonna happen. Lathans invested into reinforcements for the south, but they might come in too late. He has a couple of other units pivoting, so that is good. Phantom here actually might be able to push back the KCT Verkeners. 2 MWAR 13s down. MWAR 10 still a bit too far away to be super accurate and deadly, but that push here into the south is pretty scary as well. The Leo 1NL might find the pivot and the Bradley there as well. Bradley being gunned down too, so Lathans here under a lot of pressure. Yeah, there we go. Bradley is stunned. Ooh. Can't react to the Leopard. Leopard gets the kill. That's a +4 tick here about to come in. Stahl is getting the infantry into the south now as well. The M1A1 not in the position to prevent that. And the A1s here just underutilized. Like there were so many investments into them. The center TOW 2 is out of ammo. They could do so much damage, but currently Lathans not using them. Might be actually forced to use them now, and is pushing up with them now. But the center situation here, not amazing. The southern situation, pretty terrible. M1A1 there went low to a side shot from a Leo 1 NL. Might get killed off by the second Leo 1. As that is pushing in. Yeah, M1A1 goes down. Yeah, sure, the Leo does as well, but that's not a fair trade. And YPRs and Panzer Infantry Dragons pushing around. And oh no, everything is dying here for Lathans in the south. This is really not a good game going for him right now. M1A1 in the north goes down as well. There's just too many units that can sideshot them. And Lathans is just completely disintegrating here right now. That's the issue of the
Lathans is Lathans was kind of went in for two really bad attacks. One of them was pushing with the infantry in the middle to try to gain any kind of ground after realizing that their flank had been compromised, and then also sending in the expensive mech attack to go southeast into the covered up arms of the Leopard 2A force. The Leopard 2A force could fire first due to being in a forest. And they also had the tank numbers there. This is exactly the way you want to do cheaper tank aggro, slightly cheaper. The Dutch units are not cheap. The Leopard 2A4C is 275 points, of course. But you want to use the ability to send in those Leo 1s, the ability to use those M113s, and you force the enemy to have their tanks move all around the place. Never let them commit to an attack. The attack up north was really close at pushing through. There was a moment. There were like 2 units and 2 guys in a house, and Stahl managed to control around that, and that is excellently done from Stahl. Also, Stahl had a series of really good buying decisions. There was no too large investment into any one category, and everything that was invested in was there to be either cheap or to be very worthwhile.
Yeah, and by now the tick rate here is just too much of an issue. Apache ATGM tried to come around, but runs into a cheetah, and yeah, that's the most deadliest thing that you can run into gun-wise, and losing the Apache ATGM here, that might be the full-on GG moment here, unless you get both Leos killed now in the south and the center, but that's not going to really happen either, I don't believe, as the Leo even might get a side shot here. Struggling to get the shot out, but gets pushed back as well. M2A Bradley in the middle goes down as well. Yeah, this is just disintegrating so quickly here now. Really well played by Stahlbrecher, and a couple too many misuses of big tanks here by Lathans, and that's the risk of the M1A1, and that's the risk of the US in general. It's a pretty costly deck, and your combined arms can disintegrate with 1 or 2 units, and then you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, the double Phantom investment here, after the first fighter bomber that killed the command tank, after that there has been no airplay from Stahl, and all of the anti-air investment, especially the fighter investment, was just completely negated by Stahl choosing to buy the heavy artillery instead. And the heavy artillery started doing damage even from the long range. It fired at the standard positions where you hold infantry on this map, and the damage that it was done to those infantry units basically made Lathans maybe panic, maybe reconsider, and just move them out. And that was a huge mistake because it allowed for the complete collapse of the front line.
Yeah, really well played by Stahlbrecher here in game 1. But yeah, a couple of weird decisions there as well on the other side by Lathans. And it's going to be interesting to see if he can turn it around in game number 2, as Stahl here with a really smooth 4th E game. Not gonna lie, that was pretty much what you needed to do there. And he got it done from the get-go. The cluster here could kill a couple of moments where YPRs died in weird places, and it looked like there might be a moment there where Lathans could just breach that northern part. That was kind of scary. But when the 2 Bradley CVs died, they died to the Leo 2A4C. I was wondering what got the kills there. The Leo 2A4C actually was the one that got the pounce on them. And that's big. Like, yeah, that's actually nice risk reward there, using your heavy tank to get the one shot. And yeah, well played. Really well deserved victory here by Stahlbrecher. And one step away from moving on to the semifinals.
Yeah, not a single Leo 2 was lost by Stahl. And this is and 4 Abrams were lost by Lathans. And I think this really shows us the power of the Leopard 1. The Leopard 1 is just expendable enough that if you send it to do some attacking alone, it can get mega damage done. And we saw it do amazing damage. Those 2 Leopard 1s got those side shots against the counterattacking Abrams. And not having something like the Leopard 1 is really a problem for the Americans. And I think it's the reason why, one of the reasons why third has not really been in vogue anymore, because it lacks flexibility. It can only do a few things, and those things that it can do amazingly, but they're very predictable.
And yeah, with that said, guys, quick break, and then we're gonna see if Stahlbrecher can do historical things here, and I believe be the first German player in a semifinal, or if we will see Stahl going down here to Lathans. Quick break, and then we're gonna go into that lovely one.
Maximum scale.
So here we go. Stahlbrecher could do the move into the semifinal if this one goes well. But Lathans never has been a pushover. So let's see what we will get out of him in this one here. As he is bringing around another OG division. Really not helping his old washed up guy image with playing the 2 oldest divisions in the game. The grumpy grandpa of WARNO is back in here. And on the other side, though, Stahl playing a pretty old division as well. Playing his bread and butter division here. 2nd Panzer Grenadier coming out with a lot of modders, with a lot of Leo 1A1s. And they are all here on Kreider to get the brawl in. After we were on our oldest map in the pool, we are on the newest one now. And it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out.
Yeah, we've seen Lathans play 79th in the league before here, and it seems to go very well for him. Seems to be like a comfort pick. 79th, of course, it doesn't have the heaviest of equipment like the NATO or 119th would have, but it has a lot of varied stuff. Coups, for instance, you get numerous cards of coups. Coups are cheap, efficient, easy to use, and quite powerful anti-air units, and playing against something like second Panzer Grenadier, which will be using its heavy artillery to try to destroy your heavy anti-air. Coups are self-propelled and even slightly armored, so you can actually buy them in numbers, and you can gain yourself an anti-air advantage pretty early on. Second thing they have, we saw this in an earlier game, both the Rasvedka BMP-2 and the Spetsnaz GRU, some of the best Soviet recon units, straight up. There's even a flame tank coming up with the TO-55 that it is going to be doing defensive duties, I think. Yeah, it's going to be in a close range attack there, maybe preparing for a Fallschirmjäger Aufklärer or Fallschirmjäger attack. And on Stahl's side, Stahl once again playing the more aggressive division, more aggressive stance as well. The Bravo area, which is the one that gets contested early on, is going to have a heavy investment of 4 Leopard 1A1A1s as it is the style of the time. These are up-vetted to achieve an amazing 11 rate of fire. Leopard 1A1A1s, one of the best units in the game right now. Marder 1A3 Milans, also quite powerful. Panzer Grenadiers, not the best, but still with their good accuracy anti-tank rocket launcher and their sniper rifle. For 35 points, you get more than you're paying for. So the aggression is going to go on Bravo, but no straight-up contestation outside of a single Rasvedka BMP-2. I'm not sure if this is gonna, if Lathans' attack is gonna be completely blown out in the opener, but I think the Mi-2 recon helicopter kind of reveals us that Lathans might be holding some points in with the planes. Yes, here is the Su-25 rocket.
Yeah, and the Mi-24 AT there that can deal a decent amount of damage with the Kokon as well. Obviously, Gepard is an issue, but if you can maybe get the Gepard with the Su-25, Then there is a world of pain with those Kokons that against the Martyr 1A3s don't quite one-shot them, so that's the one annoying thing there. But outside of that, SSU-25 could come in for so much damage. Coming in, getting the first transport, getting the second transport nearly as well there. The Gepard now intercepts it though, and might even get the full-on kill here. Ooh. Oh, it gets another salvo.
No.
But it still stays alive. Oh,
Insane.
SU-25, the armor saving its ass there. Especially you being able to go really deep here. Though this is still a lot of Martyrs and Leo 1s here pushing forward. MI-24 is still around. Still will be able to use its great Kokons. MI-24 goes down, but first Martyr down to the Kokon. And Stahlbrecher has to be really careful here at this stage. BMP2 still getting involved. Oh, the cluster! The cluster! Oh, this could be so dangerous. Oh, oh, the money shot. All Leo 1A1s and the Gepard going down in smoke. SU-24 there doing its job, and this might go to a game 3 real quick here now. Like, that was such an amazing kill.
Yeah, predictability and playing the meta will cost you at some point. When you get higher and higher and higher up the leagues, at some point there's going to be some guy who has like a spreadsheet of every player and has a bunch of notes about what tactics they like to play, and then they can do something like that. That player is Lathans. Lathans famously has like a huge spreadsheet out of all WARNO players that he faces, and where he writes down all of his games, at least used to. Stahlbrecher down south used the forward deployment advantage of the Fallschirmjäger Aufklärer to get a position here. Rasvedka BMP2 and Motorrasvedka kind of just hanging around. If Stahl doesn't micro this, the engagement could go badly. But so far, I think Stahl is likely going to start using likely going to start fortifying with units such as Milan 2s, Jaguars, and even more Gepards. The area on Bravo currently, the last West German units are fighting off the Spetsnaz GRU, but there is not enough firepower to stop the Soviets, I don't think. So the next wave here is for Stahl to contain Bravo. There is the close attack, where they go up the hill and immediately get attacked on all sides from both long and short range. And then there is the reinforcement route, which is what the Jaguar 2... Well, no, actually it is not. It maybe should be standing around here, but it is actually moving to a different location. Another
SU-24 coming. The cluster not hitting. Oh no, it actually even gets the Unimog. That's annoying, as those pioneers and grenadiers really wanted to stay resupplied. The BMP is still around, still getting shots out there. It's a +2 currently for Stahlbrecher, so that's a bit annoying. But BMP2 and TO-55's getting some shots out there. Leo 1A1 there is getting stunned down. The TO-55 not hitting it here though is quite annoying. Motostrelki is getting close, but not quite getting in distance to get a shot. T-80BV coming in here. That could be money as well. Like, a push towards Charlie might be possible soon. I'm surprised that Lathans here didn't push further into the south though.
Yeah, I think all of the points and the planned attack here was to go into Bravo. Once you realize that you get those amazing trades against the Leopard ones, like there, you need to keep pressing at that advantage. You know, all of Stahl's reinforcements are going into completely different locations. Maybe basically recognizing that you may not wanna keep throwing good money after bad. That if you just let the enemy keep coming at you, try to attrition them, meanwhile try to get an aggro advantage on some other part of the map. Jaeger Aufklärer are getting into a position, Leopard 1A5 is micro down south, and good infantry micro does win the fight against the Motorrasvedka. But now there are extra units. There is a tank, there are 2 Gepards, there's another tank coming up, and a PA-1 helicopter. Now, this is a wide front line, and there's not that many units holding it. could Stahl just maybe right-click, just do the classic just move maneuver of just going out there and trying to get into one of these million locations, and have Lathans invest a lot of attention and even points to get rid of these?
Well,
Who knows?
at the same time, though, units dying in the north. Gepard getting sniped in the middle there, actually, by the Vachevetka BMP2. And in the north, the Jaguar went down as well. So the TD, IZD, that one in the north went down too, I believe. So that is at least a good kill. But there's still a good amount of BMP2s here. Good amount of infantry. Well, yeah. We have to see what Lathans can do in the south here. The southern defense might be pretty key, but outside of that, this game could go south pretty quickly here for Lathans now. After that early investment into the air, he needs to get the Mi-24 resupplied, I believe. Like, that could really shift the balance in the south, but he is not getting resupplied to that, and his forces here are pretty limited in numbers.
Yeah, the slow attack of Stahl in the middle, crossing the crossroads and getting the Jaegers and their mechanized support out here. I think this is a nice position to fight against the T-80. T-80 will need to be in quite specific locations or really close to be able to fight against this attack. Another 2 PAR 1s are getting ordered in here, so one thing to keep up the ATGM defense. ATGMs are nice because with so many places to cover here, the helicopters will be able to move alongside the mech and be more effective than a singular recon vehicle could be. And also they can only be targeted by AA, so which means that the fighter planes are going to have to dive around to get parts, or the coups are going to have to drive closer. The last PAR 1 was also taken out by a coup. And up north, we can see Lathans is actually moving their mech back into the forest at Bravo, leaving the infantry out there, but Stahl has managed to do a really nice containment. Even though the Leopard 1A5 might be a little bit too close for comfort, the holding this Pioneer Carl Gustav out there to cover the road means that Lathans' attention is now required here, down at the highway, and the northern attack has been stalled.
Yeah, Marders and BMPs trading here. Another BO-105 attack. The Cube this time not around to really help, and the BO-105 has the advantage over its British and French counterpart. It actually carries 6 missiles at the go, and that can be quite annoying, as those Hot 1s and Hot 2 missiles that the BO can carry are quite dangerous. There we go. Goes down to the BMP2 though. You don't want to get it peppered by 20 millimeters. As MiG-29 here comes around. Motostrelki struggling against the Panzergrenadier in the forest, as the Panzergrenadiers with these extra sniper rifles can compensate for the one less man that they got in the squad. And Gepards and co here still doing a decent job. Ooh, Jaegers pushing into the BMP2. Yeah, lack of infantry here right now. Pretty annoying for our player in red. But the Su-22s here with the cluster play, killing off 1, killing off 2 Gepards, getting a bit of extra damage there against the Marder as well, that just got hit in the crossfire. And those Su-22s here really getting their money worth.
Yeah, the fact that they know flying around here that there was no IHawk. So currently there is a moment to send in the helicopters, which have conveniently just been repaired, or even an Su-25 if the Su-25 is now up. 3 pieces of AA have been bought to cover this, 1 IHawk and 2 Gepards. And but meanwhile, Stahl is sending some extra infantry to push back against this incursion up the plateau from Bravo. There's still a bunch of BMPs and a wounded TO-55, but without a T-80, I don't think they are breaking through there. The Leopard 1s are heavy enough to fight off everything, fight off the BMP-2s.
Yeah, MiG-29 there, killing off the BO, but the BMP-2 and Motostrelki here still struggling in the forest, right? Su-25 here is around again. Barely survived earlier. Let's see what it can do now. It doesn't spot much, but it gets the Jaegers now. That's quite helpful. The +3 here is pretty big for this map. Stahl actually getting a decent point advantage already here. And the SU-25 needs to get a bit more done. MiG-21 and the second SU-25 here actually coming in now. The MiG-27, it's a full-on air spam game here from Lathans. Interesting choice of tackling this fight. Well, the Gepards are turned off, the Ihawks aren't out yet, so the MiG-27 seat here not really getting its job done, and yeah, the BMP-2 numbers, and especially the infantry numbers here, a bit lackluster for Lathans. Some Jaegers...
Those Stahl might be doing a huge overextension here, pushing to the line. No, 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 you don't want to get out there. No.
Yeah, those Panzer Grenadiers pushing against an Su-25 without AA cover, that's ballsy. One of the Su-25s got hit, but yeah, Jaeger goes down here. MiG-27 still around. Oh! Wait. What just killed the tank? Why did it... How did the T-80 just die?
Panzer Grenadier get a side shot and... No, wait, no, there is a T-80.
No.
It's repairing.
No, I guess the Leo 1 got a side shot against the T-80? How did it die? What? Or was it the
mean,
BMP?
it could have if it just went to the range. Well, I don't know, but this overextension is getting punished here right now. Maybe this was like a line of sight thing that nobody has found out yet. But yeah, now the Jaegers and the Leopards are running back with their anti-air reinforcements are coming in. But the problem is that there is a big lack of infantry reinforcements, which are also coming in just a moment. Actually, there is a single Jaeger here, but that's most likely going to go and hunt for the Motorasvedka. The Gepard, in a nice position, takes out the Mi-2, but unfortunately there's a second Mi-2 right behind it and is out of range. The Gepard does get turned off, so the seat does not get a kill here. The Sapere RPO are pushing in against the Jaeger, firing their flame launchers and forcing the Jaeger to move around and thus lose its accuracy and machine gun.
And yeah, we have Conquerors pushing through the middle, Motorasvedka there as well. This position here for Lathans is really not the most comfortable, but it's... He has the air advantage. He just has to get the MiG-27s at the same time as the cluster bombers and play it from there. If he can get rid of the Ihawks or do some good damage and get some decent trades there, that still can absolutely turn this game around. Just a +3 take that currently is highly frustrating, so needs to find a way to break that, and these forest fights here are risky. MTLB resupplying the Saperis here in a second, but the Saperis don't have any mod strikers with them, so they don't have any AT, so a single Leo here can potentially run them over. MiG-27 currently not finding any value. Gepard's being turned back on, potentially pushing it back. MiG-27 now damaged with 2 damage. You want to get it out, otherwise it gets one-shot by an Ihawk. So get it back repaired up.
The Leopard is actually taking flame damage by sitting in the forest, but it did not get cohesion damage, so it didn't get routed in there. Now the Leopard... Oh, no, the Jaeger could have maybe shot at the BMP-2s, but no.
Cluster finds the Gepard. MiG-27 seats here, preventing the Ihawks from getting the kills. Ooh, oh, the Gepard might be able to finish off the MiG-27 now. Yes, it does. The Gepard gets killed. MiG-27 number 2 barely stays alive. Akatsia trying to get the Ihawks, doesn't do that, as it is a bit too far away. But 1 MiG-27 down, 2 Gepards down, 1 Leo down. It's a bloody fight. It's a really bloody fight.
The MiG-27 has an exceptional 50 ECM, which compensates for the fact that it's slow and the accuracy of the missile is quite bad. But yeah, now that the Ihawks are up here, there are more than enough Gepards in 2nd Panzer Grenadier if you want to take them. We haven't seen any man-pads, so I think the AA tab is being used to just buy the self-propelled stuff, the Gepards and the Ihawks. And the Gepards and the Ihawks, as long as you destroy that second siege plane, I think that's kind of the end for the air spam. The air spam just can't keep itself up against the front line of Ihawks. Then maybe the Akatsias could use, and the Akatsias are actually targeting the Ihawk already, getting a good hit on the southern one. But But taking just more and more investment, first into the air, and then the air investment doesn't work out necessarily, and then into the Acacia.
Yeah, but it does work out, does it? It gets the Nighthawk, gets the Martyrs, like, gets some decent ground investments, and I mean, investing into an Nighthawk, forcing that investment is not a cheap thing either. That doesn't impact the frontline right away either. SU-25 is still around, and that kill into the Martyr was nice. The Infantry here looking better for Lathans as well. I think Lathans is about to break this. Lathans is finally about to win the southern fight that he invested so much. And if the SU-25 gets a good run or two out here, maybe damaging the Leo 2A3 in the middle, then this whole shenanigans could be quite interesting. 2 T-80s here versus 1 Leo. Couple of BMP2s outnumbering the enemy as well. He just needs to get that onto the front line. And the SU-25 here now not coming in. Oh no, and the T-80 gets shot by the Leo 2A3. Oh,
T-80s are firing!
It doesn't see them. It doesn't spot it. Oh no, the T-80 is still not... Oh, it just gets killed.
This is why you have defensive AI on Lathans. That was a free kill for the Leopard. Suddenly the attack of Lathans is way less powerful here. 2 Su-24 HE bombers this time coming in and dropping at the line, but not managing to take out the Leopard 2A3.
Yeah, getting decent damage there, but nothing here to follow up the kill. And the Su-24 going down as a tornado helps out the Eyehawk and gets the kill there. So pretty expensive bombing run there for Lathans. And the Leo 2A3 is still alive. Oh, Conqueror's got a shot, but didn't get the missile on target. Might still get one more shot here. Leo not smoking off. I believe the Conquerors will fly all the way through here and might find the kill. Yes, it does! Leo 2A3 finally blown up. Seed missile not finding its target here. And the MiG-27 pushed out. Tornado not fast enough to follow it up. BO-105 went down. Leo 2A3 went down. Lathans back in business. The loss of the T-80 frustrating, but not the end of the world. BMP2 in the middle has to be careful. Might want to smoke off. Yeah, smokes off right in time. Whilst helping out against the Jaegers here. Decent enough that the Motorwatschwetka might potentially win this. More infantry pushing down south as well. As Lathans still wants to win the center here. Doesn't want to push deeper into Gulf. Wants to push swiftly into the center here. But Stahlbrecher is going for some annoyance in the north. Actually contesting the zone already. As the Su-25 and MiG-29s here in the sky. Trying to get rid of all of that.
Yeah, the tornado was basically lobbing these long-range Skyflash AA missiles, and one of those managed to take the MiG-27 seat and hit it and route it, which was quite crucial, I think, because with the extra recon out there, it could have used its gun and do damage. Meanwhile, the AA is ammo.
The MiG-29 outnumbered 2-1, still got one tornado down. The second one gets the Su-25 though. Coop not able to get a shot on target. Unfortunate there. Infantry has to be unloaded because the Leo 105 has that gun down as well. That Su-25 could have done so much damage together with the Mi-2 that just comes around. There's no AA in the north anymore. Eyehawk is out of missiles. Like, that Su-25 would have been absolutely deadly, but the Coop not in position to protect it well enough, as it is in a bit of a weird spot in that forest line of sight-wise. Su-24 cluster coming around now, though, is going to anti-Ildes in the north, reducing the tick to a +1, and Lathans setting up the push. Ooh.
The Ildes manages to get out of the way, and it doesn't.
Yeah, Jaegers getting slightly damaged there as well. Last Eyehawk most likely coming in, as I don't believe there's more than one card there. T-80BV and BMP2s pushing in through the center. The Jaguars there got defeated. There is still a Milan 2 team, but outside of that, no ATGMs here in the middle anymore. The Motorwatschwetka will spot a lot, and then the BMP2 and the T-80BV absolutely could push forward here.
Yeah, the counterattack of Stahl was worthwhile for the points and to keep up the pressure, but right now Stahl really needs to use the units left near Bravo to prevent a breakthrough. Breakthroughs at this point of the game are without tanks are kind of unlikely, but if the attack up north spends enough of Stahlbrecher's units and attention, there is a 3 T-80 attack ready to go to Charlie with a recon unit currently walking into a position to spot everything. These 3 T-80s with the command tank will be able to do massive damage. There is nothing here to straight up fight them. They need to be side shot by Leopard 1A5s. They need to be killed by the Fallschirmjäger Aufklärers with the Panzerfaust 3s. And the Milan 2s need to be microed away before they get salvoed by the 3 tank guns. This two-pronged attack, now that Foxtrot has been cleared, could actually make this. This is really going to be a make-or-break situation for Stahl. Stahl still probably has some air units that we haven't seen, but all the artillery maybe taking out the Iltis. No, Stahl does react to it and move it away.
Yeah, Milan 2 was the first unit he thought was targeted, moving that out, but that's actually not what's getting targeted, though the T-80s might actually use that opportunity with the Milan 2 not in position to move into the zone, getting a bit closer, maybe then gunning it down with their MGs. Sicherungs and Jägers coming in here as well. PP2s currently playing pretty defensive, and maybe a bit too much time wasted here by our player in red. On a slow-ticking map, you don't want to give your enemies too many points here. But the Milan 2, that can get gunned down quickly now. The other T-80s should get involved too, just using their firepower there. Nothing else up there. Yeah, the T-80 BVs pushing in. The other T-80 stunned down for the second, but the Milan is about to go down here.
Oh, but there's an M110 once again, and he's striking right at the T-80 and the Spetsnaz GRU.
And the Conquerors killing the Spetsnaz there.
Oh, huge.
The Milan 2 goes down, but the T-80 is really low. The Conquerors goes down as well. That was an amazing first salvo there out of this M110. Getting close to MVP status with 3 shells already. And yeah, Lathans here still can push further, but doesn't quite realize that maybe, that this center is way less defended than he might think.
Yeah, the fact that the Motorasverka is there's a Sicherungs unit and the Jaeger unit right next to the Motorasverka Lathans, and that Motorasverka right now is the only real recon unit to actually support this push. That Spetsnaz GRU getting taken out, that's quite a big deal when you want to do tank attacks. Your tank attacks are only going to be worthwhile going against the front line if you can actually see the enemy. Now Lathans is buying 3 flame tanks to help push the northern side. So we could see with this Pulemechiki in position, we could see a twin-pronged attack both from north and southwest. And I think that's a good strat, especially when you have these numbers already. But there's still 15 minutes left. And if you get an actual breakthrough and you can cut off the blue reinforcement lines, this can be massive. But I think Stahl is building up a defense in depth so large that the 1,500 point lead might just carry him to the winning the series.
Yeah, we need to see Lathans being more aggressive here. Like, he needs to go for actually taking the advantages and pushing them if he wants to get enough points in the series. Like, that's
Motorasverka getting taken out.
That's the big issue here. The Sicherungs actually, he could push on top of them. They don't have AT. The BMP2 could push on them. The T-80 could push on them. But he instead is playing still pretty slowly here, Lathans, that is. We have Pulemechikis in the north. We have BMP2s there as well. TO-55s now. They're not pushing into the center. Allows Milan 2s to get back into building positions here. M110 super close on the front line. Now going for counter-batterying. And yes, the Akatsya is doing a decent job here as well. And yes, the Redshirtka BMP2 is going to run through the Sicherungs. But, oh, not if the Milan... No, the Milan doesn't get on top. But no movement forward here from Lathans. And I don't know, he needs a tick. And he will struggle to deal with the south, so he kind of needs to win the whole center here to get enough points. Like, 50 minutes. He needs more than a +2 soon here. Well, he needs more than a +2 already. He gets 80 points per minute if he gets to a +2, so he needs a +3 already to get to the W. So, yeah, he needs to get that doing right now.
Yeah, the tank advantage that was there when the 3 tanks started their first attack, the tank advantage is not there anymore. There are a bunch of leopards out here. The cluster planes that are targeting kind of an empty forest even are a bunch of useless damage is done into them by the tornado that also escapes. And the M110 howitzer is so close here. It is targeting blindly at the road, but the fact that the defense is now numerous ATGMs, a bunch of constantly respawning AT helicopters, there is a potential for the Jaguar and the Leopard 1A5 of southwest of the position to move into the plateau and start attacking them into the flank. There's just so much out here. The infantry attack now going.
I think what happened was that Lathans, like, we saw that with the planes. Like, those planes were scared planes. Like, he called them in on the positions where he thought there was a massive blob, and that's why he didn't push here, because he thought there was a massive amount of Leos. There was no Leos. The Leos were a lie. Like, there was nothing at all. It was all a facade. He killed all the units, but he didn't realize that, and that's weird for Lathans, because Lathans usually pretty good at keeping count of what he kills, but he just didn't do that this game. He doesn't realize how much of an advantage he had in ground units, and now his CV is dead. Enemy is back on a +1 actually. He doesn't even have a take going on. It's only 13 minutes. He's down 1,500 points, and the enemy has a good amount of Leos on the battlefield again. His tier 105s run into issues in the north. They don't have smoke. They can't disengage here. They're not good against Leos, and yet he still has a good plop going here, but he needs to get it going right now, right here. Otherwise, this game is not going his way.
Yeah, I honestly think it was the Spetsnaz crew. The lack of recon, the lack of recon on all ends, the blind bombing of this one tree line, and the fact that the pushing was just kept staying still. The pushing force, giving Stahl all of this time to get all of this stuff on board, and now even if Lathans got this, there would be enough forces to counterattack.
Yeah, MiG-29 getting the BO-105, but it's not even the counterattack, it's just that, yeah, Lathans is going to struggle to get to a +4 that he needs at this moment in time. And yeah, that's just such a hard thing to achieve here now. BMP-2s pushing around. The Saperis in the north, they don't hold on their own. All the BMP-2s didn't came with the PO-105s. Like, he's still holding back, and I don't know what he did hold back for. Like, what did he expect there to be? I don't quite understand how a player of Lathans' caliber, and who is usually so good with the statistics, could miscalculate the amount of damage he was dealing to the enemy.
I think it's a recon. I think he was just too scared to push without a recon, and had to wait for the next Spetsnaz crew to get in here. And immediately when the next Spetsnaz crew gets in there, the attack starts, and that's already too late. Maybe. But later, considering that push timing and tempo.
Yeah, he still can get it done here, but he needs to go so deep here now. He won't get the south, so he needs both Delta and Alpha, basically. And AT Tornado, oh no! Oh, this would be... the TADBVK does survive there. Tornado doesn't get a missile on target, and he will get that capture point, and he will get it to a +1 finally. At 11 minutes remaining, he gets the first point on the board. BO-105 goes down there as well. Once Strela 10 went down to it beforehand. But yeah, Lathans needs to push deeper.
Yeah, got the kill on the Tornado as well, but now would be the time to go for broke here. It's the 11 minutes left, and the enemy is gonna fight tooth and nail for the last position at Alpha. The Alpha position will allow for basically cutting off the enemy reinforcements, but it's also extremely defensible because it is right next to the Stahlbrecher spawn. So Stahl is gonna have immense air superiority unless the Coups get pushed further up. Once again, resulting into possibly even more build-up from Lathans. Lathans pivoting to the south, but immediately meeting up Stahl's attack on the crossroads with the Panzer Grenadiers, managing to get some really nice shots against the BMP-2s here.
Yeah, BMP-2s suffering from the Panzer Grenadiers pushing them back, and Conquerors, Spetsnaz all moving around. Motostrelki is trying to push through here, but it's a big plop now coming through the south again. TO-105s and BMP-2s, but Stahl got too much territory still, and the slow push through that with only a +1 right now, like, oh, it's so painful. It's a +4 that is needed. It's +5 potentially soon. And to get to that point, it's going to be so tough, as pushing the enemy completely out of alpha, you need to completely destroy them for that usually. Cluster Bomber doesn't get the hit that you want it to get. Tornado most likely goes down there, overtakes the MiG-29 with the last 2 missiles it got. BMP-2s and TO-55s will get the Martyr, will most likely push through here in the south, but it's taking too long. It's 9 minutes still remaining, and we're about to reach a point where you just can't get enough points anymore.
Yeah, it's just that we're seeing even more Marder Milans and even more Seekerungs are going out there, and the capacity for Lathans to keep pushing and winning these fights is not over, but the capacity to actually do significant, to actually break through something to get the points needed is diminished massively. Now, the flame tanks are breaking through the Panzer Grenadiers here, and they will be trying to get into the position at Delta. Delta already has a bunch of reinforcements coming in, including Milan 2s, Outflares, Marder Milans. There's 2 Leopard 2s nearby that can be fast transported right after they get repaired. So I think this attack as well, with its 2 command tanks and its gunship Hind, it might be a very formidable force, but just waited too long. Stahl has so much stuff on board.
Yeah, Milan 2 coming around. Yeah, and Stahl just needs to hold on a couple more seconds, and then this basically becomes impossible at this point here. So, yeah, Akatsia's trying to shoot, trying to get some kills. Mi-24 still pushing around. We have 2 T-80s in the south, so maybe even +8, +7 here possible on the map, but that's the maximum you can get at this map, so even then you would still need 5 minutes or so of tick, so yeah, Lathans needs to get some T-80s in here soon, and he still is a bit away from that. Yeah, he just gave Stahl a couple too many minutes off tick, and took a couple too many minutes before he got his own tick online, and now this is all too clutch to really work out, I believe. Mi-24 goes down. We see T-80s here being stuck still, as Leo 2A3s and 1A5s still around. And one of the TO-55s in front of it goes down. T-80s still stuck. Strela has to push up to deal with the BO-105. Oh no, Harrier HE coming in. There's not enough AA here. And the T-80 will go down here to that bombing run. Won't get anywhere. Most likely Harrier will go down, but yeah, this is not the spot. The Central Infantry here, Stahl just too close to his resupply lines. This is going to be a loss for Lathans, and a really, really big victory for Stahl. Going
massive
towards the semifinals here, as the BMP2s desperately try to do something, but it's still only a +1. It's only 6.5 minutes now, and it's still 1,400 points difference between these two.
Yeah, there are still reinforcements coming, still Panzer Grenadiers and still Sikarungs, so they will be thrown on the line to hunt down enemy recon units to fight off incursions, meaning that the tanks are going to stay back. 6 minutes left, and none of the tanks for Lathans are currently engaging in the attack. Though down south, a large mechanized attack is actually breaking through here to get to the zone. Panzerfaust 3 takes out Eraspetka BMP-2, but that is not going to protect the Sultan for the BMP-2s. But even then, it's only 6 minutes left.
Yeah, Conqueror is trying to do their best, but this is just not going to happen. And then Saperis and BMP-2Ds here pushing around, Martyr 1A3 on the other side, trying their best, and right at that moment, my game is freezing up. But we make it through. Okay, yeah, the bug that is making a lot of PCs currently struggle happening here as well. But we pushed through it. Sorry for any inconveniences on the screen there for the second. I hope Eugen pushes the fix for that soon. As we, in the meantime, just see a +2, but not even a +2 happening here for the next 30 seconds or so. It's really just game over at this stage, and Stahl is going to win this series.
Yeah, Lathans' deck is so spent that he's ordering massed Conqueror's cars to drive towards the enemy, just hoping something would happen. But yeah, I really kind of think that as in every kind of history writing, you should not get too into a singular event or a singular person, or your historical writing might be a bit compromised over you getting personally involved in it, whatever. But even then, I think that salvo, that one salvo that happened, that was so well timed, the engagement that where Stahl kept the Milan 2 fighting against the tank just long enough to know they would stay there, and when the salvo was almost hitting, right then the Milan 2 team moved away, and the fact that the Spetsnaz GRU also walked into that same salvo, that was huge. After that, when the Motorasvedka unit that was facilitating the attack on the south side of Charlie was hunted down by the Sigerungs. I think at that point there should have been a Hail Mary attack at the very least. And I understand why there wasn't. It's not, I don't like doing that kind of stuff. Everybody should always have recon when doing attacks. More tanks you have, the more recon you should have also, because the tanks are expensive and can be traded down by stealthy units, especially on such a wide front line. But the attack only happened after the second Spetsnaz recon squad went in there, and I think that really was the crucial amount of time there.
And yeah, we see Conquerors coming around. We see Stahl still holding on. It's a +4 at this point, but with 3 minutes going, even further 0.6 won't save the situation, and Stahl got the units killed. Panzergrenadier even might find a BRDM here, are barely out of range, but no, the BRDM is actually moving right into them. Oh, Panzergrenadier is missing. They still have one shot. Basically on top of them, there goes the BRDM. It's not going to get in there, and the point takes here is not going to increase any further, and even with this +4, yes, it's a decently fast tick right now, but it's way too late in this game. Really well played, so this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, Stahl managed to do the same thing in both of the games, even though in the first game didn't trade down, actually traded quite well against the way more powerful 3rd US attack force up north. But Stahl won that game by doing the light and recon-enabled attack down south, and then managing to basically keep that hidden, managing to stay in cover without Lathans realizing what was happening until it was too late. And on this map, it was the Crossroads highway attack to Foxtrot, getting into Foxtrot there, especially right after Lathans had invested in so much expensive mech on the other side of the map. And the mech that it was bought, a lot of it had to move down south to try to fight these close quarters. And there was that one tragic time of the T-80 ISD veteran just standing still and taking those front hits from the Leopard, because Lathans doesn't have defensive AI on, so the AI wouldn't smoke or run back automatically. And those kinds of things, you know, they... oh, and there's apparently a tank is also stuck. Maybe in a... Not in a tree, maybe in like a tank corpse wreck hull.
Yep, and here we go in the end. Lathans gets the KD victory that we expected there, as he just was ahead from the get-go with that massive SU-24 run and so on, but he gave up too much ground for that. And he played the south weirdly, he played the north weirdly as well, to be honest, as he just got pushed out there and then took too long, and the points that Stahlbrecher got on the battlefield, just too many here in the end. Getting Stahlbrecher to a 2-0 victory here, and that sets us up for today here with 2 quarterfinals done in Division 1, and we are halfway to the semifinals, and I'm pretty happy with the results. I'm looking forward to see Scuff, and looking forward to see Stahlbrecher moving on to the semifinals here with the slight upset here, I would say. Lathans really doing fantastic in the group stages and obviously being the big name here. But Stahl, with consistency over the last couple of seasons, getting up here and now getting into the semifinals of Division 1. So, really nice. And, yeah, going to be interesting against whoever wins the other quarterfinals here, WoW versus Dark Neutron. It's an interesting one as well, with Dark Neutron having fantastic past seasons, but also always not being consistent. Like, Dark Neutron has a consistency issue, whilst WoW, ever since he's joined the community, has been nothing but consistent in my experience. So, going to be interesting to see what we're going to see there. And then Static versus Bottom Feeder, aka Guard, X-Ramps, is going to be an interesting one as well, as they are both pretty aggressive players, but Static a bit more unconventional usually, always having some hot opinions about what is the new meta that nobody else has figured out. And sometimes he's right, sometimes he's wrong, and we're gonna see what is going to be the case this time around.
Yeah, I personally consider this to be the fact that this went 2-0 and not even to 3 games. I consider this to be a massive upset from Stahl to Lathans. Stahl has been playing near perfect. Stahl obviously had control of both games, even after getting massive losses in the opener of the second game. The plan was I don't know if the plan was set from right at the start, but it most certainly did work. The small things such as winning the southern side by investing minimal amount of units there when your opponent had invested a full-on Raspetka BMP2, all of these things, the fact that Stahl was always out there to micro either the Leopards or the leaders or whatever from the high-flying cluster bombers, the Su-24s, all of this just speaks to Stahl being at the absolute top of their game. Looking at the Scuff game earlier, I have a feeling that Scuff versus Stardeck is going to go maybe... no, I'm sorry, not Scuff versus Stardeck, but if Scuff plays against Stardeck and wins against Bottom Feeder, Stardeck wins against Bottom Feeder. You know what I'm talking about. If this game happens, I think Stardeck is the favorite there. I also think Stardeck is the favorite against Bottom Feeder. Bottom Feeder is reliable, but I'm not really sure at how many decks they can bring out. Whereas we know that Stardeck has a lot of variety, a lot of different stuff that he can put out there. And with WoW versus Dark Neutron, as you said, Dark Neutron is a former very highly performing player, but we don't know if this is we don't know if this is the case right now. And I think with the WoW versus Dark Neutron game could very easily be decided by like a single division pick, single missed ban. This starts being the level where people just don't really make mistakes anymore. Even the mistakes that Lathans made here, which were mostly about timing and maybe confidence or whatever, those are the kinds of mistakes you make when you're really into it, where not because you have lost concentration, but because you have so much of it.